Welcome to the Muckrakers podcast, where we are speaking frankly about what's going on in this world with your hosts, Billy Graff and Justin Luke. We're digging through the muck to find the good so that you don't have to, discussing life, liberty, and hope.
Welcome back to Muckrakers. We have a phenomenal episode today. We have Mr. Billy Graff here.
Good to be here with you.
Good to be here.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Been fighting all those things that we talk about every day. I decided to just get in the war.
I know, right? It's good to have somebody that actually gets in it, because looking at it from the outside is good. But before we start, let's get into this.
Okay.
So in Muckrakers, what we like to do is talk about life, liberty, and hope. And in doing so, we sift through the muck to find that gold that gives us the hope. And so today, we're going to be talking to Mr. Billy Graff about his experience in trying to get elected to the county judge position, which we talked about. It's a lot like the mayor, but it's the mayor of a county. So what's interesting is Billy Graff did a phenomenal job. He had some folks from the Muckrakers team and a bunch of other teams working with him, getting the word out, telling everybody what the message is that you have. And so I want to give the floor to you. Let's talk about that. I'm going to actually switch
my... You turn around and look at me a little bit?
Because, man, I want to hear this. This is a good story.
Oh, man. Well, you know, too often conservatives sit in echo chambers and pat each other on the back, talk about all the issues and all the challenges and all the problems that we have in our society. Yeah. And we all agree that we have a lot of issues. The challenge is, who's going to step up and actually get in the game?
Yeah.
I call it preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of echo chambering. And what the problem is with echo chambering, Justin, is really simple. If I'm speaking about things that everybody in my echo chamber agree with, then man, we're on the cheerleading squad.
Yeah.
Everybody's agreeing with you, and the next thing you know, subconsciously, you think you're making a difference. Mm-hmm. You think you're an influencer. But the minute you get out of that echo chamber, you find out, maybe not so much.
Mm-hmm. I got a question for you real quick.
What you got?
So how many people do you think are in Montgomery County? You should know this.
620,000.
So 620,000.
That's correct.
And so you go to these various meetings. How many people are in those meetings?
Anywhere from 50 to 100 people, usually.
So, and when I talk about meetings, I'm talking about the various groups. So, for example, you have Tea Party, you'll have, the God's Digital Angels, you've got a few other these groups that like to hear somebody like Billy speak about these things. And so,
there's there's lots of groups.
So we're talking about 600,000 people, right?
Correct.
But in these groups, there's really only between 50 and 100 people per group. Mm-hmm. And honestly, how many groups are there? And we don't have to put a number on that, but I'm just thinking out of 600,000 people, we're really only reaching maybe 800. So that kind of gives you kind of
I would say you're right. Yeah. I mean, trust me, I've been to everything over the last 6 months. And if there was a meeting, I went. Yeah. I didn't care what it was, because there's people there.
I think the point I'm trying to make here is...
A lot of them go to the same meeting.
And a lot of them go to the same meeting. Out of the 600,000 people that we have here in Montgomery County, only a very small fraction is being active, which is to your point, right?
Right. Point. And I'm taking a lot of hits right now, just because I'm trying to be very honest, and I don't want to be in the echo chamber anymore. Yeah. The echo chamber doesn't move the ball down the field. Yeah. And I'm really interested in seeing things change for the good for the people. Yeah. And so we have to get out of the echo chamber. And if all we have is the echo chamber, then I'm beginning to question for myself, how much time do I need to spend in the echo chamber, and how much time do I need to spend doing some other things in my world? Yeah,
it's one of those things that you have to take a look at. Where's the value in that, right? Is the value? And to me, I'm thinking about it. My mental picture here is you've got your echo chamber, you're speaking. Hey, and it comes back. I've got a lot to say. Right. But then you step outside and you say, I've got a lot to say, and it goes nowhere. And it's what's in between there? That's the question, right?
That's the big question, and I think I've uncovered a lot of things over the last couple of years of doing this. I've run for office twice in the same county and different positions. I've learned a lot about people, just in general. But at the same time, I've learned a lot about that political thing.
Yeah.
We can use that term.
The machine.
The machine.
I call it the machine.
Yeah,
That's
and
exactly what it is.
And our county is no different than any other county I've lived in. I've lived in lots of counties in my lifetime. And I'm seeing a lot of the same things happening.
Interesting.
And this particular county where we are, I think I see a lot more of it simply because there's a little bit more density and activity. But at the end of the day, the outcomes are still the same.
Yeah. Well, it kind of goes back to a conversation we had before we were actually filming this, was politicians is actually now a profession. And so that, I believe that's kind of leading into what you're saying, with being a politician as a career choice, actually career choice, the focus is on something else other than what we, the citizenry, believe it should be focused on. Does that sound?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things I've uncovered. One is a high percentage of voters do not take the time to evaluate the candidates.
And what?
That's number one.
Do you mind if we get into that, or do you want to just list them out?
Let me list a couple of things,
Okay.
then we can jump back.
Okay, that'd be great.
If you can remember what they are. So number one, high percentage, a high density of our voters just don't take the time. They just don't take the time. Secondly, they trust and use things like voter guides and other things to give them direction, but those are so manipulated now and by so many different groups that it's really, in my personal opinion, it's actually become a very challenging apparatus for me.
Yeah.
Because it's too easy to manipulate unknowledgeable voters.
An XYZ group might come up with one voter roll, whereas ABC group says, here's another voter roll, and they both say, so, I mean, for example, your instance, you were running as a Republican. It could say Republicans to vote for, and this one says the best Republicans. So you're looking at both these, and you're trying to say, well, there's two different people here,
right? And what's happening right now, if you don't make one of the lists, Republican, whatever it is,
doesn't matter, Democrat, Libertarian,
it doesn't matter. Just
really
politically speaking, if you don't make one of those lists, then you find a way to create your own list.
Yeah.
I call it pack weaponization. It's illegal, but I see it. I've seen it here in this county multiple times. I've seen candidates make large donations to PACs and get endorsed and use it as a tool for their election campaign. None of that is healthy for the voter.
No, it's
all
not.
right? But at the same time, the voter must take some responsibility.
Yeah.
And so, why do you think incumbency has an 85 to 90% re-election rate in our country? Because people don't engage.
Right.
They really don't.
Yeah, that's the truth.
We had in the primary here for us in this county, I think we had an 18% voting record out of the 329,000 voters that are registered in this county. About 18% of the people actually voted in the primary. That's it, 18%.
So interesting you say that. I want to get this story straight that came to me. I have 2 or 3 people that I know who are working at the polls, and they actually reported back to me saying 2 things. First off, people would come up to them and say, "Hey, who should I vote for?" And of course, people I know, obviously, I will back them up. They do have some backbone, and they also have heart.
Right.
They tell these people, "Hey, we can't tell you who to vote for."
Right.
Doesn't mean the next person behind them are going to come up, "Hey, you need to vote for so-and-so," and give them that voter guide you were talking about. So that's the first thing I was thinking about. The second, so that goes back to the voter saying they didn't really do their homework. The second thing is the it may seem like it's okay, but it's passive coercion is what that is.
Sure. I mean, we talk about, and I don't want us to chase too many rabbits, but I love to hunt.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
You threw.
There's a pasture right here.
Here it comes.
Pasture hunting on the pasture.
Oh, there you go.
Anyway, sorry.
We talk a lot. We talk a lot, especially in the conservative arena.
Yeah.
Because I am a constitutional conservative, and that's not the same as a Republican. Okay.
That's and
understand
that.
And
it's a big
that
deal.
might be another show, but we vote in the Republican world because that's our option. But we're not. It's a different thing. So election integrity. There's ever since 2020 and all that went on, all the questionable things that happened in 2020. Voter integrity has become this big boiling pot. But here's my question to you, Justin. How many laws does it take to bring ethics back to a person's spirit?
I don't know how in the world you can make a law that actually encompasses truth and ethics and basically anything of the heart.
You cannot legislate morality or ethics.
Exactly.
Okay. And then second question is, how can voter integrity ever be successful if things are happening within your own party when certain groups want to initiate negative integrity in the midst of their own party?
So manipulation.
Sure. Yeah, when you have the lack of when voter integrity doesn't exist within your own group,
right?
At the base level, this is not the state laws or anything. I'm talking about just within your own group, locally. When integrity doesn't exist, for instance, when Republicans attack other Republicans publicly. Or use PACs or whatever to win, because winning is more important than standing for something.
Yeah, and harshly attacking too.
Correct.
Not just passive.
Yeah,
I mean, this is harsh.
Whether it be on Democrat side or the Republican side.
Yeah.
When we Republicans weaponize PACs or whatever, weaponize groups, and we attack other candidates because winning is more important than morality and ethics, then how can a law at a state level have any value whatsoever when the actual problems begin at the local level? If we have no voter integrity within our local party, we'll never have it in the state.
Yeah, we could branch off all kinds of discussions on this. The voter integrity issues. I mean, voter integrity doesn't necessarily. Well, I say voter. Actually, let me rephrase that. Election integrity can go different directions too.
Sure.
What does election integrity mean? Well, we can quantify it by votes, but shouldn't it mean a couple more other things?
It's more than voting.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I was a kid. It was always taught to me that it's not about winning and losing, it's about how you play the game.
Yeah.
Which I didn't always understand because I thought it was about winning and losing.
Yeah.
That's the culture.
Well, yeah.
In politics, it's the same thing, but it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It should be about how do we play the game?
Right.
Are we men and women of integrity? Do we have honor? Are we really interested in serving society, or is it all about just winning so that I can have a cool title, make a big paycheck, and have some power so I can groom the next group of people to make sure that I have a job when I'm out of office?
Yeah, I think it goes back to politician is a career now. And
yep, absolutely.
If politicians weren't getting paid for this position, then it would be much more for the people, I believe.
Oh yeah, I think it'd be really an interesting study. This will never happen because of where we are in our politics today. But what if no politician could ever be in the same position for more than 2 years or 4 years? Let's say 4. Let's say you got 4 years to make a difference.
Yeah.
All right. After that, you have to, if you want to stay engaged in the political game, you got to move to a different job, for instance. What would happen?
Hierarchical too.
Yeah, I mean, what would happen instead of me fighting so hard to make sure that I put everything in place to make sure I get reelected to this job over and over and over, and I create allies and I get money and blah 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 blah, all the things we do in politics.
Yeah.
Just like we do in jobs to make sure our businesses are successful.
Right.
I think our political arena would look different, but right now, very few people that I can identify really run for serving purposes.
Yeah.
They run because one, it makes them feel good. They have an ego. They have power. They want to be loved. They want to be celebrities. That's why we have people running for office today.
Seems like it.
It feels that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
They run. People want to run for office, and they want to be celebrities. They want to stand out at the polls and do selfies with people. They want to be so important. And yet, service never comes into the conversation when actually
that's supposed to be the number one part of it.
You know, it's supposed to be a public servant. That's what they use that term, public servant. No, they want to be public masters.
Yeah,
they want to be public.
That's actually a better word.
They want to be public masters.
Yeah.
And we voters have become the serfs. Okay, so you know, I have a whole different look on the value of politics, the way we do them today.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of things that we do are positive, but there's a lot of destructive mechanisms in place, politically speaking. And the way I see things, personally, I'm beginning to question just how far different is our political leadership activity different than some of the communistic, socialistic, third world country leader groups.
When you say different, I'm thinking more similarities, honestly.
Yeah, I mean
in some cases, the way things are nowadays, here we are in 2022, I'm starting to look at it like, I look at how Russia's ran, and I look how we're ran, and I wonder, where is the similarities here? I mean, that's kind of scary, considering I grew up in the 80s. 80s, we were all against, Russia's bad because of communism, but now we're getting to the point where communism seems like it's very real right now.
Well, I mean, America is we are
in America.
Yeah,
in America.
It is. We live in a republic. This is a democratic republic.
So supposed to be.
It's supposed to be a democratic republic. But unfortunately, those people that represent us, the public, half the time, well, I'm going to say more than that, they're not really representing we the public.
It seems like yes.
They appear to be representing themselves. They're setting themselves up for money. They're setting themselves up to be important. They're setting themselves up to matter in the eyes of the beholders, whoever that is.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the destructive mechanism in our country if we're not careful. We already have so many socialistic type programs in our country, and that's what's going to destroy us.
Yeah.
From the inside out.
Well, I think the culture has been more self-centered, more narcissisc than it has been in. I don't even know, because it just seems like everybody. I could tell you stories for days about different stuff. Seems like everybody is. What can it do for me? What is it for me? What can I do for me?
It's all about
me. They don't even. A lot of these folks that I've seen, they don't even really pay much attention to their kids. It's all about me. Yeah. And then, here kids have this tablet. Yeah. And next thing you know, they're watching some video about stuff that's going bonkers. Like, you've heard Disney's trying to push out this crazy agenda. Well, where are the parents to teach the kids, hey, let's let's kind of moderate some of these things.
What we're living in now is we're living in a situation where 25 years ago, certain things began to happen in the school systems, and I'm gonna be honest, we conservatives didn't care.
Right.
We gripe about it, we echo chambered it, but we didn't do anything.
We didn't jump on it.
We didn't elect the right people. And now those children are now the adults, and they're teaching their children the same things, the same philosophies, because the schools, we stepped away from the schools.
Yeah.
The conservative thought.
Which was a terrible idea.
You know, which was terrible. And so
we allowed the separation of school and God.
And we still are. And we still are. You know, we're in trouble.
Terrible. Yeah.
I love this country, as did you. We wore a uniform because we loved our country, to protect this country. And so
and the Constitution, you know, we both wore the uniform to protect the Constitution because we believed in it.
I believe in the Constitution. I literally believe I believe in the Bible,
right,
and I believe in the Constitution.
Exactly.
And when those two things mesh right, our country looks very different. All right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's time. I think it's time for a new resurgence of true constitutional love for our country.
Yeah. Well, I think it's happening. From what I've seen, a lot of this is happening. It's very slow. The train is going very, very slow, but it's starting. It's just what's going to be the opposition ahead of us. I think you experienced.
Yeah, we have to be honest. Let's call a marble a marble. Just because it's round doesn't mean it's a marble.
Right. I would also say, you know, just because you put lipstick on a pig doesn't make it any different than a pig.
It's not any more kissable.
That's right.
That's for sure.
It's a damn pig. So, I mean,
it's bacon in the waiting.
That's right.
Oh, and the same
fork
thing.
Fork on the fork.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing in politics, dude.
Right.
Just because someone puts an R behind their name doesn't mean they believe in the things we believe in.
That's right.
And I have fought that truth. I have fought that truth. I am just tired of fighting it. So now I am saying it. And whether it brings negative to me, that's fine. I will stand for God's word, and I will stand for truth consistently, and I think we should.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem in America today. We don't have enough people standing for truth. And I'm not talking about just arguing and fighting about bad things. I mean, living their life that way.
Right, right.
In a way that we want to be positive influences.
Yeah.
So it doesn't do me any good to scream and holler and do stupid stuff, because that's going to turn you off. If you're on that knowledge journey. It's doing the right things, being the right thing, teaching the right things, to be an influencer that changes things to be right.
Right. And people need to be open to learning. That's the other part of this, right?
Yeah.
So,
people need to get back engaged.
And this idea of trusting the government, let me tell you something. I'm working on a big project. So just a little plug in here. I'm working on a project that is very interesting. It'll basically look at you'll look at this. I should say it this way: you will look at the government in a different light now. After I'm done with this, you're gonna. I mean, we all know it. It's just, where's the proof? Well, I'm gonna deliver the proof.
Right.
That's what it boils down to.
We need a bigger blowhorn that blows truth with love, gives us hope for a future. But we need to do it in a way that is engaging and inspiring, not negative.
Yeah,
exactly. I find very little value, honestly, in doing it, saying a bunch of negative things, doing a bunch of negative things, because that's what the other side is doing.
Yeah.
And so that's the socialist perspective. I'm going to beat you down. Well, here, let me help you now.
I think the big thing is you've got a group of people that are whining on the left. They sit there and whine, and they find somebody and go attack that one person, somebody like Kristen Sinema. They go out and attack Kristen Sinema to do their will. And I don't think that's the right way of doing it. I think the better way of doing it is finding a good person who's in the legislative process, whatever that looks like,
right,
and really supporting them. You know, if they need bills written, write the bills for them, help them get
Right.
to that point where we can't go to our legislators and say, hey, I want this done. They're busy too.
Yeah, well,
So-
at the end of the day, if we do not elect people that believe in the Constitution,
Yeah,
then it's a moot point anyway.
that's true too.
At the end of the day. So
I had more hope than you did, apparently.
no, I have a lot of hope, but to fix the problem, we have to change who we elect.
Right. We got
That's it.
a couple of things. Change who we elect, get some good elected folks in there, give them the backup that they need.
Absolutely.
If folks come in and start attacking them, well,
Support 'em.
Support them.
Right.
Come back and defend the legislators that got your back, because you have their back, they're going to have your back. It's part of the civilization that we live in.
Right.
So this actually kind of folds back on our previous podcast, so it's really interesting that we brought this up.
Yeah,
So,
and we could go for hours, but I know that it'll be boring to everybody that's watching. But we have the greatest opportunity in history with the technologies that we have to communicate inspirational truth, and we need to change the way we talk about the Constitution. It needs to be fun again. We need to explain the negatives of socialism and what it does.
Yeah.
We try. There's a lot of conversation out there, but let's just have an honest dialogue, okay?
You know, I wonder, I wonder if we need to find, well, kind of going back on the higher education. I think it's incredibly important that at some point in time we've got to get engaged with higher education. You know, if we're paying these universities tons and tons of money, and they have teachers not necessarily explaining what the Constitution is or what our way of life truly is, if all they're going to do is encourage students to go protest by giving them bonus points on a test or something.
Sure.
I think that stuff needs to stop.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd stop that, but if they're getting state funds, if they're getting federal funds, that just needs to get.
Well, we're back to that. We're back to that career politician.
Politician, that's right.
If they're not interested in changing the system because it's their career, why would they?
Exactly.
Why would they do anything that could cause them to lose their job?
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's a big problem. It really is. And I still have hope. I have a lot of hope because I'm a man of faith. At the same time, though, it's time for people who are concerned not to keep talking about it, not to keep Facebook messaging, and not to keep putting all these cool memes out. But hey, we need to flood, literally need to flood, I think,
No, it's true. You're
the
absolutely
candidate roles.
Yeah.
Every time some job comes up, we need 5 conservatives to run.
Yeah. We need to make a massive ruckus. Is what we need.
We just need to shake it up, buddy.
Massive ruckus.
Shake it up.
And that's just the way it's going to have to be, because the only way it's going to move forward is if it takes every single one of us. It really is.
Yeah.
So,
Less echo, more action.
yeah, action's it.
That's it.
And I think to your point, it really boils down to people need to stop being on the sidelines and yelling. It's like an old soccer game I used to play. I was a player on the soccer team.
Yeah.
And I'd get all the parents on here yelling, hey, go, hustle, hustle, hustle. Well, those people need to get off their rear ends and get onto the field and start playing too.
Absolutely.
And not just start going, but actually find out where the ball is and how to make that ball go in the direction we want it to go.
There's way too much dribbling, and there's not very much shooting.
That's another point too.
We got to quit dribbling. I'm tired of dribbling.
Well, not just that, but also passing the ball. We got to be able to pass the ball. And
Yep.
so you pass the ball to a person who is going to be more open, and it's their role. You know, halfback's going to pass the ball to a full, or not a fullback, but a forward in soccer.
Yep.
And that forward's going to go and do a score.
That's right.
Right. So
right.
a halfback should not be going all the way to the goal to score. So that's what has to happen. And not just that. Like I said, the people on the sidelines, they need to come on the field too. And they need to pick a position.
It's time.
And they
It's
need to
time. America needs our help.
go. Yeah.
Y'all, we need your help. We need
Your country needs you.
Pray for this country every single day.
Yeah.
But don't just pray. Write checks to the right candidates. Encourage participate, and learn about the value of being a true American.
Yeah, and the thing is, we live in a capitalist economy.
Yes.
Our world is a capitalist. Okay, that's how things move in the United States. And so, with it being capitalist, you've got to put your money where your mouth is.
Yep.
Put your money where your mouth is.
It's a tool.
If you believe in
It's a
something,
tool.
put your money where your mouth is.
Absolutely.
So, well, we're coming up on the half hour, Billy.
Yeah, man, it was great.
I'm going to give you the last word.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, it was great being here with you again. I mean, it reminds me of when we started this thing off many months ago. How fun
Not many months, but many months.
Many months. I would just like to say simply to everyone that's watching the video, and I hope a lot of people will share this, because we need to re-engage people.
Subscribe.
We need to re-engage. So subscribe. You know, hit the bell down there, and help us get the word out, because America is worth it. And we're losing the fight, ladies and gentlemen. We're losing the fight, not because we don't have the right policies and the right spirit and the right beliefs. We're losing the fight because we're tired. And so let me just be very blunt and very plain. Stop electing your friends and start electing men and women who stand for the values that you stand for. Have a great day.
Yeah. Signing off, Justin Loop.
Billy Graff.
And we'll see you on the next podcast. Take good care of yourselves.